remains the same. Hometown people that are your friends serving you every day to meet your financial needs. We want to see you grow and prosper. And when you ever have a need, you'll get personal attention right here at home, not in some far-off corporate office. Number one in customer service. Apex Bank of Camden, Benton County's best bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome on this Saturday morning. Welcome to Operation 7570, April 22nd, 2023. As we look at the calendar, great to have you with us on this Saturday, whether you've joined us by Facebook Live today, listening to us 95.9, or up on WRJB Radio, WRJBradio.com. Glad to have you with us. Thanks for spending some of your Saturday morning with us. Of course, the weather had a little front to move through over the last 24 hours or so, brought a little rain, a little cold snap here, but hey, like we always say, if you don't like Tennessee weather, stick around. It's going to change in the next day or two. We've had all sorts of weather this week, but again, great to have you with us today. And this morning, we have a guest in our studio that you're very familiar with. This is David Knowles, and we also have an international flavor to our program today. Mr. Gerald Biederman, a friend of David, is with us today. He's from the country of Germany, been visiting for several days in this area. We're going to talk to him about his background, things he's been doing in the state of Tennessee in this area. And gentlemen, welcome to the program. Gerald, welcome to this part of the state of Tennessee. Good to see you, my friend.
Good morning. Yes, it's a pleasure for me to be here.
Well,
Thank you.
That's great. David, always a pleasure to see you.
Always a pleasure to see you, Flash.
Been following you up on Facebook, of course, and you have really given him the hospitality the past 12, 13 days, I guess, and it looks like he's had a wonderful trip here.
Yeah, well, I try to, probably wearing him out. We try to do as much as we can. And he can tell the story. It's his third time, but I'll let him tell that story to America.
Well, Gerald, let's just talk a moment. How did you and David develop a friendship? How did your paths first cross? And you've known him a few years now, I believe. Tell me that story, sir.
Yes. It's 9 years ago. I'm doing research about the Lakota in South Dakota. And during my research, I met David on Facebook, and we're becoming friends. And I come over from Germany to South Dakota, and I met him live in person. And we become friends. And he showed me all the wonderful things in South Dakota and all the things they do, what the Lakota do. And he teach me. He's a great teacher, and he teach me all the things that they are doing.
Okay, Lakota. David, explain for some of our audience Lakota and your background working with those people on the Indian reservation and things like that in South Dakota.
Yes, after I retired from 34 years of teaching, coaching in Tennessee, I went up there and spent 6 years on the Pine Ridge Reservation, and that's primarily Lakota. Oglala Lakota. There's 7 bands of Lakota. That's mostly Oglala there. But it was a great experience, and one of the great experiences of my life, getting to meet them, go to their ceremonies and stuff like that.
Okay. Well, Gerald, how did you get interested being in Germany? And we'll talk about where you're from, the part of Germany you're from in just a moment. But how did you, in the country of Germany, how did you develop an interest in the Lakota and ultimately meeting David and learning some things?
Yes. Like every other child, we're looking movies with the Indians, and I become more and more interested in those things of the culture of the Indians. And I read a lot of it, and looking not at the movies, how the Indian live, instead I read books. And so I become more and more interested in that. And someday I decided to go right there and look what I'm reading. I don't know how to explain it, but I want to grab it and feel it and see it and smell how it smells in this area and all these things.
Yeah. Now, how was it when you first met David out there and coming in person, seeing these things you read about, maybe seen some movies about over in Germany? What was it like seeing firsthand, seeing in person, the places where, the Lakotas are native to, and, visualizing and viewing that firsthand, how was that like as compared to just reading about it in the book or seeing a movie?
Yes, it's completely different. It's a complete different thing. Reading a book or making your own experience is another thing. And the first time I met David, he was at the school at Little Wound School. The first impression I became was that they are like any other people, only have a different color or something like that, and the food was completely different. Like the food here in Tennessee is completely different to Germany, but there was. The nature was very great. You have big monuments and all this. Black Hills are very impressive. That's good.
David, that's a good place to visit. You and I have had these conversations. That's a great place to visit out there, isn't it?
It's beautiful. Of course, part of the reservation's on the Badlands. In fact, the South Unit is run by the Lakotas, part of the national park. But yeah, it's beautiful. When I was out there, it's about, to get in the heart of the Black Hills is about 2 hours from where I left. And even in winter, I go a couple of times a month. And in summer, I go just about every weekend. They're absolutely beautiful, as are the Badlands. And I highly recommend, if you go through South Dakota, spend some time in the Black Hills. It's definitely worth it.
And the buffalo, they really roam out there, don't they?
Oh, yes, they do. I saw a cute meme just the other day, and somebody had a buffalo and a tourist too close to it, and said, well, it's people throwing time.
Yeah. Now, did this initial friendship that you've had out there with Gerald in South Dakota, and learning the culture out there of the people out there, did that ultimately maybe lead him into Indian cultures of the past that we're more familiar here, like the Cherokees or the Choctaws? Did that lead him maybe to discuss what we're more familiar here? Or?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
But I'm glad you brought that up. Foreigners or even people in America, their concept of Indians are, teepees, buffalo, are actually Plains Indians, but they're out in Washington State. They were fishermen, and there's lots of different types of Indians, but the stereotype, is the buffalo, teepee, and all that, and that's the Plains Indians, which Lakota are probably the best example.
Yeah. Now, out there on the Indian reservations, then, the Indian reservation as such, it is really located in South Dakota, but it's really separate, independent from the United States.
Yes, it's called semi-autonomous. The state has no jurisdiction there. The federal government has some. That's why they call it semi-autonomous. But it's more or less run by their tribal council, which, just like here, they have elected officials. Now, they still have chiefs, but today they're honorary. They have elected government, just like we do. I think there's 14 members of the council. There's 7 districts and 2 from each district. And then, of course, you're going to have your chairman serve 2-year terms. So their government's a lot like here, but the only place you're going to see there are, local, the tribal police, or the FBI or U.S. Marshals. You won't see state law enforcement there.
Yeah. Now, if I'm trying to travel in South Dakota and travel to the reservation, do I have to go through a checkpoint or anything like that?
No,
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Now, then COVID bad,
Sure,
yes,
sure.
you had to prove that you lived
Right.
there or had business.
Right.
But no, just normally, semi-humorous, Betty Joe and Charles Douglas came out to visit. And they had a really good time. Got to see a football game. We won our homecoming, but she said, how'd I get on the rest? I said, you just drive on it just like you drive. You just drive on it. It'll say, welcome Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. But yeah, you just drive on it.
Gerald, I know you have to do something in Germany. This research that you've done on the reservations out there, very fascinating. But really, beyond that, what is your background? What is your background, your livelihood in Germany?
My livelihood in I have a long story. At first, I became working at the border police in Germany. There was a time, East Germany and West Germany, and I'm working on the border police to East Germany. And then I became a Sky Marshal. Here, Sky Marshal called.
Air Marshal.
Air Marshal. And after that, I study information technology, and I go into the information technology business. And since then, I'm stay there, and I'm working now for the government of Germany, especially in the North Country, Schleswig-Holstein, and I'm still working there.
Well, as you know, you're familiar with the state of Tennessee and other states in the United States. The country of Germany, is it divided up into states?
Yes,
Or explain
yes.
that and come on, bring it down to the towns or the cities then.
Yeah, it's the same like in the U.S. We have different countries, and North Country, and some towns became their own state, like Hamburg, their own state. And I live in the north of Hamburg, in the state called Schleswig-Holstein. And it's the same like in the U.S. You have towns and all the communities in these countries are divided in different parts. And you got election for this and everything like here.
And I take it, you like to travel. You like to travel to other countries.
Yes, of course. My wife and I travel a lot to Crete. It's a small island from Greece, the south of Greece. And I work in Italy for a big company, air company called Lufthansa. And I stay there for 1 year. And for Lufthansa, I travel a lot to Africa and Emirates. Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Tell them how much it costs you to fly.
Yeah, when I work for the airline, I pay only 10%.
Okay, bring that down to dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah. How would that be in dollar figure?
Well, 10% of the
10%.
airfare.
Okay,
If it's
yeah.
$1,000, he pays $100.
Oh, I got
Yeah.
you. Oh, woo, not bad. Not
No,
bad.
I
Not bad at all.
when I first met him, when he came to America 6 years ago, the first time, or to Tennessee rather, I said, "Man, you and your wife travel a lot." He said, "I was the air marshal. I travel for 10%." I said, "I would too if I could."
We were having a conversation before we went on the air this morning, and you tell me over there, transportation, electric vehicles are becoming, I think, more and more common over
Yeah.
there, and we're trying to work on that here in America now, as you know.
Yeah. That's the future, electric vehicles, in my opinion, and many others, because gas and oil going to an end. They are not endless. And we have decided in Germany to go the electric way, and I think a big company of the US, Tesla, is doing the same. A big, how do you call it?
Factory.
Factory, to build cars.
Yes.
To build cars, Tesla cars in Germany. And they're becoming more and more famous in Germany, electric cars.